I didn't skip my sister's wedding because I didn't care. I skipped it because my own family told me I'd make it awkward. Let your sister have her day, my mom said, like my presence was a stain on white satin. So I stayed home in Savannah, still in my work clothes, hands smelling like old wood and dust, trying to pretend it didn't hurt. Then my phone lit up. Not Instagram, the news. A shaky clip from a ballroom packed with guests and cameras, my sister in a crushed wedding dress, her mascara running. Her groom's face twisted with rage, and then one sharp swing of his hand, a slap so loud you could feel it through the screen, in front of everyone. And while the whole internet watched her get hit, my family finally remembered I existed. They called me like I was the emergency exit they'd hidden behind a curtain. And I had to decide right there in the glow of my TV whether I was still their fixer, or finally my own person. My name is Dashel. Most people call me Dash, and I'm telling you this because I've carried it alone for too long. If you've ever been the strong one in your family, the one who's expected to swallow the hurt and show up anyway, you'll understand why this story still makes my hands shake. Before I share the rest, I'd love to know you're here with me and listening. Comment hi, or tell me where you're watching from. Sometimes knowing someone's out there makes all the difference. And if you want to support me, if you don't want me telling this into silence, please subscribe. It's a small click, but it helps more than you think, and it lets me keep sharing the truth without getting drowned out. Thank you. And now, let me tell you everything. I was born with a knack for fixing things: broken doors, cracked banisters, split baseboards, even the stubborn hinge on a 100-year-old cellar door that everyone else gave up on. Most days that's a gift. Some days it's a curse. I'm a restoration contractor in Savannah, Georgia, and there's always something old and crumbling that needs my hands. This evening, I come home with sawdust in my hair, my shoulders burning from wrestling rotten floorboards in the Marlowe house, a decaying beauty off Jones Street that survived more hurricanes than I have birthdays. The place smells like old stories and secrets, mildew varnish, and faint traces of cherry tobacco smoked by the original owner, if you believe local legend. It's almost dark when I finally kick off my boots in my own house, a craftsman cottage I've been resurrecting plank by stubborn plank. I let the quiet wrap around me, feeling for a moment like a man who's finally fixed his corner of the world. But peace never lasts long in my family. My phone starts buzzing before I've even washed up. At first I ignore it, scrolling through emails from tile suppliers and out-of-town clients, half my mind on a warped window frame I need to custom mill. Then a notification catches my eye. Brielle's face, half hidden by a gauzy veil, fills the screen. Final fitting for the big day, the caption reads, paired with hearts and champagne flutes. I freeze thumb mid-scroll. My sister in a wedding dress. I don't remember hearing a word about a date, a venue, or even an engagement party. I flick through my feed, more photos pop up, each a new gut punch. My cousin Callie grinning in a seafoam bridesmaid dress. Aunt Beth arranging sprays of white peonies. My mother's hands, her wedding ring flashing, holding a stack of invitation samples. There's a shot of Colton, the would-be groom, his arm around Brielle, both of them smiling like they've never heard of rain. The comments pile up, so excited to celebrate. The venue looks gorgeous. Brielle. Can't wait for your big day. Names I haven't seen since high school. Everyone seems to know about this wedding but me. My heart starts to thump in my chest, slow and angry. I scroll faster, searching for a tag, a mention anything addressed to me. There isn't one. There's even a photo of a table covered in envelopes, each hand-lettered, waiting to be mailed or hand-delivered. I zoom in, scanning for Dash or Dashel. Nothing. My throat goes dry. Then comes the kicker, a family photo snapped at the cake-tasting mom, dad, Brielle, Colton. 4 people, perfectly framed, all teeth and white linen. It's a perfect portrait, except for one thing: I'm not in it. I don't even get mentioned in the comments below. Not a wish Dash was here, not even a joke about me working late. I feel it like a physical cut, deep and deliberate. Not forgotten, but erased. I step back from the screen, hands braced on the kitchen counter. The world goes quiet except for the faint creak of my house settling around me, the kind of sound you only notice when everything else stops. The ache isn't new. My whole life I've been the guy who shows up with a wrench or a checkbook when something goes wrong. When Brielle's first car broke down on I-16, it was me who drove 2 hours with jumper cables. When she needed a co-signer on her business loan, 22 grand, more than I'd ever risked for myself, I signed, and when the cafe folded, I made sure the creditors stopped calling her. I've patched more holes in her life than I have in old houses. But this isn't a patch job. This is a clean cut. I start to replay old conversations in my head, looking for missed signals, warnings, anything to explain why I'm not on that invitation list. Maybe it's because I once questioned Colton's get-rich-quick business ideas over Thanksgiving. Maybe it's because I'm the one who never fits the Mercer family photo mold, always smudged with dirt or 2 steps out of frame. The longer I stand there, the heavier the silence gets until I hear my phone buzz again. This time it's not a notification but a call. My mother's name flashes across the screen. I stare at it, torn between the urge to pick up and the need to let it ring. Just before voicemail kicks in, I swipe to answer, heart pounding, because if I'm not careful, I'll start believing I never belonged in the first place. I answer the call, bracing for some version of normal. "Hi, Mom." There's a hesitation just long enough for me to sense the caution in her voice. "Dash, sweetheart, I was just thinking about you. How's work?" Her words are soft, perfectly rehearsed, like nothing in the world is off balance. I don't play along. I saw Brielle's wedding dress online. "Want to tell me what's going on?" Silence. She clears her throat, and I picture her standing at the kitchen counter, worrying the edge of a dish towel. "Oh, honey, I was meaning to call you about that. It's just, well, Brielle thought you'd be too busy. The project in Marlowe House, right?" She tries to slide past it, but I don't let her. That's not a reason. Did my invitation get lost? Or did nobody send one? Her tone tightens, her true self poking through. "Don't make this about you, Dash. You know how sensitive your sister is. And Colton, he values family so much. He just wants everything to be perfect for her, especially after the year she's had." I almost laugh, the sound sharp. Perfect doesn't mean cutting out your own brother. She keeps going, layering excuses like fresh paint over rotten wood. "You're always so busy, and Brielle was worried you might not get along with Colton. You can be a little intense sometimes, Dash. Always with the tough questions." She means the time I asked Colton about his credit score and how he planned to pay off his mountain of student debt. Or maybe she means last Christmas when I pointed out that family isn't just for group photos, but for the hard stuff too. I push, unwilling to let it slide. Who decided I shouldn't be there, Brielle or Colton? Another pause. Colton just... He thinks big gatherings are important, but he also wants everything to run smooth. And Brielle, she wants to focus on her day. No stress. She was afraid if you came, things might get complicated. There it is. Complicated, awkward. I let her talk. She starts in on the cafe, how hard things were for Brielle after it failed, how she had to think of the children. I remind her gently but firm, I'm the one who paid off that loan, Mom. $22,000 gone. No one thanked me. You just acted like it was my job to fix her mess. She sighs, the sound loaded with exasperation. You've always been the strong one, Dash. The responsible one. Brielle needed help and you were there. That's what family does. That's what family does, except invite me to the wedding, apparently. I feel a cold clarity settle in. All my life, I've been the designated problem solver. When something broke, everyone called Dash. When something needed hiding, everyone called Dash. When it was time to celebrate, Dash was too much, too loud, too direct, too inconvenient for the perfect Mercer picture. I ask the question that's been gnawing at me. When am I family, Mom? When you need a check or when you need a smiling face for the camera? She tries to soften her voice. Don't be dramatic. We just wanted Brielle to have her day. That's all. You know how she gets. But the words sting. Let your sister have her day. My absence is a gift, not a loss. I want to push back harder, demand an honest answer, but something stops me. I hear my father's voice in the background, low and muffled. He's there, but not really. He's always kept out of the big decisions, always hidden behind a newspaper or a car engine. I press one more time, asking who really wanted me out, but Mom's already shifting gears. It's going to be a big event, Dash. Lots of people from Colton's work, some local press, We didn't want anything to go wrong. It's a big deal for Brielle. She's been through so much. I hope you understand. It all clicks into place. The wedding isn't about family, it's about putting on a show. Keeping up appearances for people who matter more than I do. I feel the shape of the years behind us, the times I stayed up all night fixing Brielle's mistakes, the moments I swallowed my own pain so she could have peace. I wonder how many other celebrations I was quietly erased from, how many times my presence was weighed and found inconvenient. I ask one last question, my voice stripped raw. If you didn't want me there, why not just say so? Mom's answer is a whisper, we thought you'd understand. I let her hang up first, standing alone in my kitchen, the smell of sawdust and old paint all around me. I look down at my hands built to fix things. But I can't fix this. Not when being present means ruining the picture and being absent means giving my sister her day. As the night closes in, I toss my phone onto the table and look toward the door where my car keys sit waiting. Tomorrow I'll drive out to Beaufort. Tomorrow I'll ask for answers face to face, even if I already know what I'll find. Through the window the dark is closing in, but I'm wide awake, too hurt to sleep, too stubborn to let go. By the time I pulled into my parents' driveway in Beaufort, a slow drizzle had started beating across the windshield and catching every scrap of light from the porch. Their old Victorian sat perched on the corner windows, glowing wind chimes clinking above the steps. The place looked unchanged since I was a kid. Stained glass transom's porch swing half-rotted from years of low-country sun, the smell of cinnamon and strong coffee always drifting out of the kitchen. But there was a tension in my gut as soon as I cut the engine, something telling me that inside everything was rearranged. I grabbed my overnight bag, took a slow breath, and stepped onto the porch. Through the side window, I could see Dad bent over his latest project in the garage, sleeves, rolled hands lost in the guts of an old outboard motor. I knocked once, then opened the door without waiting for an answer. Mom was already in the kitchen, setting out mugs and a loaf of coffee cake, humming as if she hadn't spent the last 24 hours deleting my existence from her digital universe. Sweetheart. You made good time. She moved to hug me, but I stayed standing, keeping my jacket on. Coffee, she offered, pouring even as I shook my head. I just need to talk, Mom. She gestured for me to sit, but I stayed put, staring at the kitchen table, remembering 100 mornings eating oatmeal, and listening to her tell me to be patient with Brielle, be strong for the family. Dad poked his head in, wiped his hands on a rag. You here for dinner, son? His eyes slid away before I could answer. That's Dad, always in the background, tinkering, fixing, but never stepping in unless something needed lifting or painting. If there was conflict, he'd vanish into the garage. I'm here to ask about the wedding, I said, steady and low, turning to face Mom. She fussed with the napkins. Brielle's out with Colton, but she'll be home soon. You want to stay over? I shook my head again. I'm not here to visit. I need the truth. Why wasn't I invited? The air tightened. Dad retreated, muttering about a part he needed to pick up. It was down to me and Mom. She put on her best calm smile. You know how Brielle is. She just wants everything to go smoothly. She's nervous. Colton wants it perfect. He doesn't want any drama. I cut her off. You think my being there is drama? When have I ever started a fight at a family event? She shrugged, looking small. You know how you get. The questions. You push, you prod, and it makes people uncomfortable. I shook my head, trying not to let frustration color my voice. You mean I ask about real things? You mean I'm the only one willing to call out if something doesn't add up? Her face hardened. Colton wants this to be about Brielle. He doesn't want the past dragged up. He wants to be the man she needs. My jaw tightened. And what do you want, Mom? She looked at me for a long moment. I want Brielle to have a day where she doesn't have to worry, where no one makes her feel less than. I let that sit. So that means leaving me out. She straightened the napkin a little too sharply. It means letting your sister have her day. You know what she's been through. She deserves this. My chest tightened. I thought of all the times Brielle called me at midnight crying after her last breakup. The money I'd wired the weekends spent fixing things she broke, the years I held my tongue so she could have a moment of peace. Now when the family wanted the picture to look good, I was out. Did Colton ask you to keep me out? I pressed. She hesitated just a second too long. Colton he wants people who support him. He wants Brielle happy. He doesn't like being questioned. I nodded slowly. And Dad. Her voice dropped. He doesn't want trouble. He just wants quiet. A silence stretched between us, heavy and stale. I saw it now, the whole choreography, Mom smoothing the way, Dad hiding in the garage, Brielle always sheltered, Colton dictating who fits the narrative. I had spent my life fixing things for these people, but they only wanted me when it suited them. I thought of the loan I co-signed for Brielle's failed cafe, the way my name quietly slipped from the conversation when money came up, the way Mom never missed a chance to remind me I was the strong one. I looked her dead in the eye. If you're so sure my presence would ruin everything, then fine. I won't come. Not to the wedding, not to the rehearsal, not to a single photo. I hope you get your perfect day. She put a hand on my arm, pleading. Don't do this. You know Brielle looks up to you. She just wants things to go well. I pulled away, my resolve sharp and clean. You want me gone, I'm gone. But when this falls apart, don't come calling for me to fix it. I'm done playing the family handyman. Her face broke the mask, slipping for just a second. I turned, grabbed my bag, and left, walking past the garage without looking in. Dad never came out. Driving back to Savannah, rain slashing the windshield, I felt a bitter kind of relief. For the first time, I wasn't going to patch things up. I was going to let the cracks show. As the city lights blurred into view, my phone buzzed. A text from Jada, my oldest friend. You still up? Need to talk. Saw something weird with Colton tonight at the harbor room. Couldn't wait. I stared at the screen, pulse racing. There it was, the first ripple. I let the message sit, not sure if I'd reply, not sure if I'd step in or stand aside. This time I wasn't sure what role I wanted to play. I worked my hands to the bone the next morning. Sanding, planing, replacing cracked treads on the Marlowe house's staircase, I let the drone of tools drown out every thought about my family, my absence from Brielle's wedding, or the look on Mom's face when I walked out. The old house creaked and shuddered, as if grateful for the attention its bones giving under pressure, only to snap back stronger. There's something honest in hard work. No politics, no manipulation, no secrets, just sweat and wood and the slow, steady satisfaction of fixing something real. I worked through lunch through a rainstorm that rattled the tin roof until the ache in my arms became the only thing I could feel. By late afternoon, I gave in and checked my phone. 2 missed calls from Mom. A new message from Jada Copper and Bloom, 6 p.m. It's important. I'll buy the drinks. I didn't answer. Instead, I tossed on a clean shirt and walked across town as the sun dropped low, gold and brutal behind the church spires. Copper and Bloom was quiet that early, the jazz from the speakers barely louder than the clink of glasses at the bar. Jada was already there, tapping her nails against a whiskey glass, eyes sharp as always. Sit, she said, pushing a second drink my way. You look like hell. I shrugged, dropping into the seat. You try explaining to your mother why your existence is a liability. She didn't waste time. You need to see this. She slid her phone across the table. The screen was filled with a series of photos, Colton unmistakable in his suit arm around a woman with platinum hair, laughing, his hand pressed too low on her back for comfort. The next image was a short video, Colton whispering into the woman's ear, her lips on his jaw, the kind of intimacy that can't be mistaken for friendship. Where I asked, jaw tight. The harbor room. My friend Marcy bartends there. She's seen them together 3 times this month. It's not a fling, Dash. He's careful, but not that careful. I let the evidence sink in my mind, spinning, not with surprise, but with the cold logic of inevitability. Jada waited, expecting me to leap up, demand justice, maybe crash the wedding in a blaze of righteous anger. But I just stared at the photos, tracing Colton's smile, the way he leaned into this other woman. Are you going to tell Brielle? She finally asked, voice quiet. I shook my head. No. If I do, I'm the villain. They already wrote me out of the script. If I step in now, I'm just confirming every bad thing they ever said about me. The one who ruins the day. She frowned. So what, you just let her marry a liar? I set my jaw. She's an adult. If I step in, they'll blame me for everything. They want a picture-perfect wedding more than they want the truth. She started to protest, but I cut her off. Who's the woman? Jada hesitated. I think she's in Colton's work circle. Might even be a guest at the wedding. The point is, Colton's got layers. Your family, they're helping him keep things tidy. My chest tightened with realization Colton hadn't just asked for me to be left out because I was the awkward one. He needed me gone because I'd asked questions he couldn't answer about money, about his past, about this. I swirled my drink, feeling the urge to burn the whole thing down. But I'd learned my lesson. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of blaming me for a mess they built themselves. I'd been the scapegoat, the fixer, the shield for too long. Send me the pictures, I said finally. But don't send them to anyone else. I'll keep them. That's it. She arched an eyebrow. Not even a warning. I shook my head. Not my job anymore. If this explodes, I want proof that I knew. That I didn't cause it. After Jada left, I walked the squares of downtown past Spanish Moss and the rattle of late-night buses, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with my family about Colton. They didn't want the truth. They wanted peace, even if it was built on a lie. That realization landed heavier than any betrayal. I started saving every file, pictures, texts, timestamps, tucking them away in a folder just in case. A new message lit up from Evan, a contractor friend who owed me a favor. Something weird, your name came up in a credit check on a property deal in Beaufort. You buying something? Or did your folks use your info? Let me know if you need help. I sat on my porch until midnight, phone humming with silent threats and opportunities. Another text came in, this one from Mom. Don't do anything to make things harder. You promised to let your sister have her day. A minute later, a notification from my bank. Someone had accessed my credit file. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, realizing this ran deeper than a wedding. My family hadn't just erased me from the ceremony. They were erasing me from the rest of their lives, piece by piece, until all I had left were the facts I could prove and the boundaries I could build. I poured myself another drink and decided next time I wouldn't fix a damn thing. The week before the wedding, my phone turned into a weapon, buzzing, flashing, vibrating with a frequency that felt less like concern and more like surveillance. Messages piled up so quickly it was hard to tell where one manipulation ended and the next began. Mom's texts were the first wave. Don't make things harder than they already are. Please be supportive from a distance. Don't make the wedding awkward. Let your sister have her day. Each sentence sweeter than honey, each one laced with the same command: stay quiet, stay away, stay invisible. A request dressed up as morality, a warning disguised as love. At first I ignored them. I didn't trust myself to answer without saying something sharp enough to cut. But then Brielle called. For the first time since this whole mess started, my sister's name lit up my screen, not through filters, not through wedding posts, but a call meant for me. Her voice was soft, shaky. I could picture her wringing the hem of a silk robe or pacing her bedroom like she used to before school presentations. Can we talk? I stepped onto my porch, letting the late Savannah heat settle around me. Sure, I said. What's going on? A pause stretched between us. I saw your RSVP, she whispered. I saw you declined. I didn't think you'd actually do that. My heart dropped like a brick. My what? Your RSVP, she repeated. It was logged weeks ago. Mom said you must have been too busy to come. She said you told her you didn't want pressure. Blood rushed loud in my ears. Brielle, I said slowly. I never received an invitation. I never got a link. I never RSVP'd anything. A tremor hit her voice. But it says you declined. In the system. Who told you that? I pressed. Mom, she admitted. She said you didn't want to upset anyone by showing up. I swallowed hard, fury rising in a clean, cold wave. I'd been erased on paper and now rewritten as the bad guy in private. Someone RSVP'd for me, I said. Someone decided how I feel and recorded it as fact. I hung up and called Mom. She answered on the first ring, breathless, like she'd been waiting on the other side. Who RSVP'd for me, I said. Who logged it? She sighed sharply. Does it matter? You weren't going. I didn't say that. I snapped. I wasn't even given the choice. Her tone sharpened. Don't twist this. We just didn't want to pressure you. You're always busy. Don't patronize me, I growled. Someone pretended to be me. Someone made that decision for me. Who was it? She paused just long enough for me to know she was deciding which version of the truth to feed me. Dash, she said gently, you weren't invited because we thought it would be easier for everyone. And yes, I marked you down. But only because what my voice was low. Steady. Because you didn't want me there, because you would have made Betrayal uncomfortable, she snapped. You always push too hard. You always find something wrong. It took everything in me not to laugh hollow, humorless. So you forged my response rather than risk me speaking for myself. I did what was necessary, she said stiffly. That sentence sat between us like something rotten. I hung up before I said anything I couldn't take back, though part of me wanted to let the words spill like gasoline. I stayed on the porch for a long time, staring at the Spanish moss swaying above the street. Someone didn't just want me out of the wedding, they wanted me officially logged as indifferent. They wanted a narrative. They wanted proof. When I finally went inside, Evan was calling. I picked up. You busy? He asked. Always, I muttered. What's up? Look, I'm not trying to freak you out, but your name popped up in a credit-related exchange today. Something tied to Beaufort. Something with your parents' address. I froze. What kind of exchange? Not a loan, he said. Not yet. But a soft inquiry, maybe a change in listed contact info. Something that shouldn't be happening without you. My stomach twisted. And it's definitely my name. Yeah, he confirmed. Check your credit report tonight. Something isn't clean. I did. And sure enough, there it was, a recent inquiry from a mortgage servicer, a company I had never contacted. Not a loan. Not a denial. More like someone testing the door handle before breaking in. I stared at the notification so long my vision blurred. Jada called next. Dash. You okay? I've been thinking maybe we should tell Betrayal about Colton. The photos. No, I cut her off. If I say anything, they'll blame me. They'll say I'm jealous or dramatic. They've already written that version of me. But this is serious, she protested. It's her life. It's her choice, I corrected. And if I step in now, I become the enemy. I didn't write myself out of the wedding, Jada, they did. If the truth comes out, it won't be because I delivered it. The words tasted bitter, but also right. I saved every photo, every message, every credit notification, like a man building a file before the storm. By midnight, I had a full folder, screenshots of the RSVP conversation, screenshots of the credit inquiry, screenshots of Mom's warnings, proof of patterns, proof of control. As I sat on my couch, exhaustion pressing on my shoulders, a message from Betrayal buzzed through. If you're really not coming, don't make a scene. Please. Just let me have this. I answered with the only boundary I had left. You can have your day, but you don't get to erase me and expect me to save you afterward. I put my phone down, heart cracking but steady. Minutes later, Dad texted me 3 words that made everything inside me go still. Need to talk. Don't tell your mother. My breath caught. And suddenly I knew the wedding wasn't the only thing they were hiding. Dad called early the next morning, just after sunrise. I walked down to the riverfront to answer, letting the breeze off the water calm my nerves. His voice was low, unsteady, like he was afraid someone was listening from the next room. Dash, he said, we've got a problem. The words hit like a nail driven into old wood. What kind of problem? He hesitated. The house, he said. Your mother doesn't want you to know, but we took out a line of credit a while back, on the Victorian. My chest tightened. How long ago? A few years, he admitted. After Betrayal split from her ex, things got tight. My hands clenched around the phone. And you never told me we didn't want to worry you. I laughed once, short, empty. You didn't want to worry me. You've been taking money from me every month. He exhaled shakily. We used what you sent to keep things from falling apart. Mortgage, I demanded. Silence. Too long, too telling. Dad, I said, voice flat. What else did you use it for? His voice cracked. Things got worse than we expected. And then the wedding. Your mom didn't want any trouble. Trouble, I repeated. You mean the truth. He continued quietly. Your name came up with the bank because they needed proof of residency for an extension. Your mother, she may have used some of your information. My blood went cold. Used how just to keep the bank from calling the loan, he insisted quickly. She wasn't trying to hurt you. She panicked. I pressed a hand to my forehead. So that credit inquiry wasn't random. No, he whispered. It's all connected. Memories from the last week snapped together like a blueprint. The RSVP faked the invitation, withheld the credit inquiry, the secrecy. Why, I asked. Why hide everything? He hesitated. Because after the wedding, we can't hide it anymore. And she wanted Betrayal to have her day before everything falls out in the open. I ran a hand through my hair. So everyone gets their picture-perfect moment, and I get used as a financial buffer. Dad didn't argue. The silence was answer enough. I need the paperwork, I said. All of it. Every statement. Every signature. I'll get what I can, he whispered. But don't tell your mother we talked. Please. I hung up and stood on the riverbank until the sky turned gold, feeling the weight of every choice I had ever made for my family settling across my shoulders. They hadn't just excluded me. They had positioned me, managed me, used me. And now everything was unraveling at once. Back home, I called Evan. He walked me through every step, checking account flags, credit freezes, document requests. Get ahead of it, he warned. If they used your info, you need to document everything before anyone starts shredding paper. I spent the afternoon transforming my kitchen table into a war room. I labeled folders: wedding credit activity, dad's call, Colton evidence. I printed every message, every screenshot, every timestamp. If my family wanted to frame me as the irresponsible one, the dramatic one, the unstable one, I'd have the truth ready long before they spun the story. By late afternoon, I called Aunt Loretta. She was the only one in our family who never bought into Mom's polished version of events, the only one who saw me as more than a handyman for other people's disasters. Loretta, I said I need you on standby. Things are going to come out soon, and when they do, I can't be in a room alone with them. She didn't hesitate. I've been waiting for this, she said. Your mother has been walking on water too long. Families don't get to borrow your peace. I nodded, throat tight. Thank you. Keep your receipts, she added. Literally. That night the house felt too quiet, too still. I sat at my desk staring at the documents spread around me, each one its own piece of a puzzle I didn't ask to solve. At 11:08 p.m., my phone buzzed. Mom, tomorrow is your sister's day. Don't interfere. Don't show up. Don't call anyone. Let her have what she deserves. I reread it twice. Not a request, an order. A threat disguised as gentleness. The kind of message sent by someone terrified of the truth. I closed my laptop and leaned back in my chair, breathing slow and steady. Tomorrow, I whispered to myself, the truth will choose its own moment. And for the first time in my life, I wouldn't run toward the fire or away from it. I'd let the spark catch without lifting a finger, and I would not be the one holding the match. I spent the wedding day exactly as they told me to, silent, invisible, and nowhere near Hilton Head. I kept my phone face down, worked on small repairs around the house, and reminded myself that staying away was exactly what they wanted. Don't make it awkward, Mom had said. Don't do anything at all. So I didn't. But by early evening, messages started coming in. Neighbors, co-workers, even clients. Are you seeing what's happening? Are you okay? Something's going on at the wedding. I turned on the local news. The first video hit like a punch. Shaky ballroom footage. White roses, gold lights, a crowd forming a circle. In the middle, Betrayal, makeup-streaked, dress-wrinkled voice cracking as she screamed something about lies. Colton was inches from her, red-faced, tugging at his tie, shouting about being set up and humiliated. The anchor's voice said the fight broke out after someone showed Betrayal evidence of infidelity. I knew exactly what that meant, the same photos I had saved weeks earlier. Someone else, not me, had carried the truth into that ballroom. Then it happened. Colton lifted his hand and slapped her hard across the face. The sound echoed through the speakers. Guests screamed. The camera jolted. My chest tightened. No matter what was broken between us, she was still my sister. I stood frozen, unable to breathe. The footage cut to Mom in the background, horrified and frantic, not because of Brielle's pain, but because of the spectacle. Dad tried to rush forward before someone pulled him back. Then police lights flashed. Officers responded to an assault at the Sea Pine Grand Ballroom, the reporter said. An investigation is underway. My phone rang instantly. Mom sobbing. Dash, please come help us. Brielle needs you. The kids need you. Don't make this worse. The old version of me would have grabbed my keys, but not anymore. I let her speak, breath trembling. Mom, I said, finally calm as stone. You told me not to come. You told me to stay out of it. I did exactly what you asked. Dash, this is different. No, I said. It's exactly the same. You only call me when you need someone to absorb the fallout. I'm not coming to rescue the image you tried to protect. She went quiet. I added, if Brielle needs legal help or a safe place for the kids, I'll do what I can from here. But I'm not coming to clean up your mess. We hung up. Almost immediately, Evan texted, the bank flagged your parents' loan. After what happened tonight, they may call the balance due. This is about to get worse. Dad sent one message after everything's coming due. Your mother hasn't told you everything. I sat at my table, opened the folder of documents I'd been building for days, and realized something. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the first responder for my family. And after tonight, nothing would ever go back to the way it was.